A Song of Ice and Fire is a very, very long, well, it's a fairly long-running series of very long novels, and people who read these, who've been reading these novels since the beginning have developed a kind of a feeling, I feel they must have developed a feeling of trust that you're going to be leading them to somewhere that ultimately has a very good payoff. Do you feel that with the immense number of people you kill per book, that you could violate that trust?
Immense.
So those go together, you know, in terms of your personal experiences and then also the personal feelings of the readers. So.
Well, I hope I don't violate that trust, but you know, I've kind of become accustomed to the fact that some people probably will think I have by the time we reach the end. You know, it's a phenomenon of a long-running series like this when, you know, people start noticing it with the first book or the second book or the third book, and then they love those books, and the fourth book's not out yet, and they start anticipating the fourth book. And this platonic ideal of what that fourth book is going to be develops in their head, and then they get the actual fourth book, and many people are happy with it, but then there's always going to be a percentage of readers who are not happy with it, because it didn't go the way they thought it was going to go, or it wasn't as whatever it was they thought it was. So you inevitably come on that with the series. But I certainly want to try to stick the ending as best I can. It's not easy. I mean, I'm not going to name names here, but over dinner we were discussing some other writers, and you know, some very, very good writers have a real problem with endings. Endings can be tough, you know, especially for big, sprawling things. You pull out a lot of stuff. As for the question about yes, you do draw on your personal experience to make characters come alive, to some extent. That's where the inner life comes from. That's where the human heart and conflict with self comes from. I was very threatened as a kid when I knew I wanted to be a writer by the stuff you always read in like how to write books and things like only write about what you know. Because I wanted to write science fiction and fantasy, and I didn't really know about being a prince or an astronaut, or, you know, I was this kid from New Jersey, and we were poor. We didn't even own a car. My world was 5 blocks long, and I'm saying, oh God, do I have to write about a guy who lives in Bayonne in the projects and walks to school every day, 5 blocks long? But what I discovered is that what you know, it's not the mundane details of you know, where you live and what it is, but it's what you know is about life, about love, about heroism and cowardice and these issues, what it's like to be human, and you have to draw on yourself to do that. Yeah, you draw on other things too. You read, you know, characters from history, and you read people in the news, and you have friends and relatives and guys you went to school with and girls you went to school with, and you can base characters on all of them to some extent, at least externally, but you only know those people unless you're a telepath, and you don't look like a telepath to me. You don't really know what's going behind these masks. The only one you really know is yourself. And you know, I think to be a significant writer, there's you have to be willing to kind of expose yourself and dig deep, and, you know, as Harlan Ellison would say, bleed on the paper or something like that. And that's a lesson I learned early on that stood me in good stead. I write about a lot of characters, and none of them are kids from Bayonne. So obviously I'm not writing about what I know in that sense. I've never been an exiled princess. I've never been an 8-year-old girl. I've never been a dwarf. But there's a lot of me in all those characters. I mean, it's, you know, I think what would it be like if I was an 8-year-old girl in Arya's situation? What would it be like if I was Daenerys Targaryen or Tyrion Lannister? How would it feel? And I do put a lot of myself into that.
Thank you.